It is often said that those that criticize others reveal that which he himself lacks. If the New York Times were prone to introspection, it would reveal a great deal about their motivations with regard to current President Donald Trump, a man of whom the mainstream media publication has been significantly critical, oft-times unfairly and to the point of hypocrisy since being elected the 45th President of the United States of America in 2016. Even more telling is that prior to Trump's announcement and subsequent election to the White House, the NIT spoke of Trump often and well. A native New Yorker himself, Mr. Trump has been newsworthy for decades of his adult life. George Orwell said in his book 1984, "The best books are those that tell you what you know already." It is rather ironic then that in the year 1984, the NIT wrote a glowing and detailed article taking a deep dive into the story of the life of an upcoming billionaire. The story details that which many Americans already know, detailing how Mr. Trump would be successful in the White House and a businessman. In an article highly complimentary of Mr. Trump's skills with communications, negotiations, and describing his business acumen as the Trump touch, it is certainly a stark contrast to the babbling buffoon the publication currently describes. From the NIT, the expanding empire of Donald Trump Donald, hey, Donald, apostrophe the men were yelling, eager to call him by name. A storm front of cigar smoke was gathering above the hotel ballroom, packed elbow to elbow for a breakfast hour sports forum with a crowd that included some of New York's most wealthy, powerful and famous men. He has no public relations agent. His competitors wonder how this can be, but watching him at the sports forum provided an explanation. While executives of the other teams told the audience about problems of negotiation and arbitration, about dirty restrooms inside their arenas and street crime outside, and about attempting to move the Mets in the right direction. He said further that he would continue to create chaos for the NFL, and, by the way, that he planned to build a domed stadium in New York. Donald Trump was electrifying the room. The rat-a-tat-tat revelations, dropping names of star NFL players and coaches he would sign in a matter of hours. It is not yet 9 a.m. Spending a day with Donald Trump is like driving a Ferrari without the windshield. It's exhilarating. He gets a few bugs in his teeth. Although he is still interested in such ideas as putting up the world's tallest building on the East River, his mind wanders from the business of New York real estate. He has told people in the communications industry that he is very interested in communications, which is like a 2,000-pound gorilla mentioning that he is very interested in becoming carnivorous. Apostrophe. The Trump touch. It has set some people in New York to outright Trump worship. They call him a real estate genius who has helped lead the city out of the darkness of the mid-1970s into a new era of glamour and excitement. Mr. Trump does not take exception to that. Many urban affairs experts view the developers as saviors of our post-industrial cities. With manufacturing leaving, says George Sternlieb, director of the Center for Urban Policy Research at Rutgers University, and with federal and state aid diminishing, our cities desperately need the rich. Cities are tending to fall into two categories: cities of consumption and cities with no economic base. Apostrophe. The rich of the world can live anywhere they want, explain the experts. Mr. Trump leads them to New York. Sales taxes, user taxes, jobs and resulting payroll taxes are generated. That Mr. Trump was able to obtain the location, when every real estate developer in the world would have done just about anything to get it, is testimony to Donald Trump's persistence and to his skills as a negotiator. That he was able to put up a building of this dimension on this site demonstrates his finesse with the zoning code. He has the uncanny ability to smell blood in the water, a competitor says. He obtained the air rights over Tiffany, which allowed him to build a much higher building, and went to Equitable, which sold him the land for a 50% interest in the project. The day before he has sent $3,000 to an unfortunate family he has read about in the newspaper, something he does frequently, according to Mrs. Forderer. For a billion-dollar corporation, there aren't too many people around. Donald Trump makes or approves practically all decisions. He does not seem to write anything down, keeping volumes of company files as mental notes, says Louise M. Sunshine, executive vice president. If it is not the impossible, Donald is simply not interested. There has to be creativity. Money ceased to be the object a long time ago. Mr. Trump agrees with this assessment. He is an almost unbelievable negotiator, says Irving Fisher of HRH Construction. I don't worship at the shrine of Donald Trump, he says, but our company has given up trying to negotiate costs with him. We just say, tell us what you want. You're going to get it anyway. Trump can sense when people might want to get out of a project, says a developer. He trusts his instincts and has the guts to act on them. Roy M. Cohn, Mr. Trump's friend and attorney, adds, he has an uncanny sense of knowing that something is a good deal when it looks dismal to everyone else. Such was his first deal in Manhattan, his purchase of the Commodore Hotel on East 42nd Street in the mid-1970s. When even the Chrysler Building across the street was in foreclosure, Fred Trump described his son's efforts to buy the hotel as fighting for a seat on the Titanic. But, Donald Trump says, I saw all those people coming out of Grand Central Terminal, and I said to myself, how bad can this be? He completely renovated the hotel, reopening it as the Chrome and Glass Grand Hyatt Hotel. He had moved in quietly, sending 14 different people to purchase 15 parcels of land and keeping his name out of it. If the seller was Italian, says Mr. Trump, we sent an Italian something he probably did not learn at the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School of Finance, where he received a B.A. in economics in 1968. He bought and sold a few pieces of real estate in Philadelphia when he was bored with classes. It's in his genes, says Fred Trump, explaining his son's success in real estate and recalling his 3 sons growing up on construction sites and in rental offices. Donald Trump is the Michael Jackson of real estate, says Mr. Fisher. We've been dealing with him since he was 16. He was an old trooper at age 25. His success also derives from his marketing skills. I want to bring a little showmanship to real estate, Mr. Trump says. He is often compared to the late William Zeckendorf, the renowned New York builder, who is said to owe much of his success to his personal flair. Other New York developers, including the Lefracks, the Rudins, the Tishmans, the Fishers, the Roses, go quietly about building more buildings than does Donald Trump, making their millions and keeping their names out of things. Some developers find Mr. Trump's high-profile approach disagreeable, but most concede that it has worked for him. Preston Robert Tisch, a developer and chief operating officer of the Lowe's Corporation, who lost out to Mr. Trump in the battle over whose site would be chosen for the city's convention center, concludes, he captured the imagination of people to a greater degree than I could. The condominiums in Trump Tower are selling rapidly at what many believe are exorbitant prices, while less costly units in Museum Tower, for example, another super luxury building a few blocks away, are not. According to a marketing study of 4 such buildings made by the Prudential Insurance Company of America, Donald Trump seems to be the only person in New York who knows how to market super luxury apartments. How do you sell a 1-bedroom apartment costing as much as a line item in the Department of Defense budget? You sell them a fantasy, Mr. Trump explains. He deserves full credit for his success, says another builder. He spent $1 million on the waterfall in Trump Tower. No one else would have done that. If the building fails, everyone will say, well sure, what jackass spends $1 million on a waterfall? What sets Trump apart, says Ben V. Lambert, a real estate investment banker, is his ability to pierce through the canvas and get things done. He gets projects literally off the ground while others are having meetings and doing feasibility studies. But his real skill is putting together complex pieces of the puzzles, financing, zoning, parcels of land and such. This ethereal part of building is perhaps more important than the brick and mortar. You don't use the term settlement with Donald. Mr. Trump does not place patience on his list of virtues. Workmen confirm a story that he paid $75,000 to truck several 40-foot trees from Florida to Trump Tower, where a tunnel was built into the building so the trees would not be damaged by frost. The 3,000-pound trees were then installed in the lower plaza of the atrium. Mr. Trump did not like the look. He ordered the trees removed, and, When workmen balked for 24 hours, Mr. Trump had the trees cut down with a chainsaw. He speaks slowly and softly and in the same casual manner to eminent architects and business moguls as to the coffee and sandwich vendor outside his casino hotel. He is said, by acquaintances, to be generally even-tempered and rarely seems ruffled. He is not given to unkind remarks and is nearly always in a positive frame of mind. "I never think of the negative," he says. "All obstacles can be overcome." He talks boastfully about his projects, but is uncomfortable talking about himself. He does not smoke and does not drink alcohol. He plays golf and tennis regularly. His wife describes him as an all-American boy who likes country music best and prefers a steak and baked potato to anything called cuisine. His father pulled Donald Trump out of a prep school because he didn't want his son growing up with spoiled kids with $40 ball gloves, sending him instead to military school. His father bragged at the sports forum that he had taken the subway and saved $15 car fare. Mr. Trump seems to have maintained a detached view of his flood of fortune and publicity. He frequently mentions that all of the attention and success may well be fleeting. His friends say that he is not yet fully cognizant of his station. He loves to go to 21 for lunch and be impressed with all the wealthy, powerful, famous people, says an acquaintance. He doesn't quite realize that he's one of them. After dusk, he rides through the city on his way to the last appointment of the day, enjoying the lights that make the whole city sparkle like the inside of Trump Tower. He talked about his plans for the future, as much as anyone who operates on spontaneous combustion can. Asked to explain, he adds, "What does it all mean when some wacko over in Syria can end the world with nuclear weapons?" He says that his concern for nuclear holocaust is not one that popped into his mind during any recent made-of-television movie. He says that it has been troubling him since his uncle, a nuclear physicist, began talking to him about it 15 years ago. His greatest dream is to personally do something about the problem and, characteristically, Donald Trump thinks he has an answer to nuclear armament. Let him negotiate arms agreements. He who can talk people into selling $100 million properties to him for $13 million. Negotiations is an art, he says, and I have a gift for it. The idea that he would ever be allowed to get into a room alone and negotiate for the United States, let alone be successful in disarming the world, seems the naive musing of an optimistic, deluded young man who has never lost at anything he has tried. But he believes that through years of making his views known and through supporting candidates who share his views, it could someday happen. He is constantly asked about his interest in running for elective office. "Absolutely not," he answers. "All of the false smiles and the red tape. It is too difficult to really do anything." He dislikes meetings and paperwork and is in the enviable position of being able to avoid both. They say truth is treason in an empire of lies. I guess what can one do against a lunatic who perceives themselves to be more intelligent than yourself, who claims to give your arguments fair hearing, yet simply persists in their lunacy? Such is the current state of the mainstream media in America today.